Hello everyone! Now that Digimon Rebellion is underway, my Digimon Tabletop Role Playing campaign that I'm running with a group of friends, I thought it would be good that I would explain to you a little bit more of what's going on in this system. Digimon Digital Adventure is not a system that I've made personally. It is made by several people of the community working together, mostly Zeppy Dingus, who is the main designer working on it and has been commenting and been speaking to from time to time throughout the working on this. So what I decided is, I think in this video, especially because our next session will run finally into some combat in the game, and I think I should explain this to my players as well as to any of you out there about the different actions that you can take in combat in this game. You can only attack once per turn, so there are many things in this system that now have opened up in order for you to do more different things in combat than you may previously have done if you've seen other Digimon Digital Adventure content or played it before yourself before version 2. So let's dive into the very bare bones basics. The four main actions that are a lot like any other system that you will see just about anywhere else. The first one is move.
I like to move it. You like to move it.
You will move up to your movement as one action. So if you have a movement of 3, as Ludamon does, then you can move 3 spaces as one action. Very simple, nothing to it here. The other main type of movement action that you can take is difficult move. Now, difficult move would be as if you're moving into something difficult, such as this crater. If this Lugamon for some reason wanted to get at somebody who was down here in the crater, this crater could be considered difficult terrain. Therefore, in order to move through it, it is a complex action and takes 2 actions just to get down to it. That is the power of difficult terrain in this system. It is very strong in order to slow down your opponents getting able to get to you and actually cause any damage, especially if they are melee specialists. Now, the other 2 main actions are attack, which you can use any of your Digimon's listed attacks. Typically, for any rookie, it's 3. So, any attack that you have access to, you would typically roll for a Digimon. You would roll a accuracy check versus the target's dodge check. This is classically how any attack roll is made. And then you would apply damage based on leftover accuracy as well. We're not going through over exactly what all of the different mechanics in the game are. I just want to do a brief explanation of what each action is in this video. The other way to attack, even though this should still apply the 1 attack per round rule, is hold back. Normally when you are attacking an enemy, if you reduce them to 0, especially an enemy Digimon, they would be deleted. If you use hold back, they would only be reduced to 1 wound box and considered incapacitated, or practically unconscious.
I'm not dead. What? Nothing. Here's your 9 I'm not dead.
And typically left out of the fight from then on. This cannot be done while you are in an aggressive stance. So, if you're looking for a more non-lethal option, that is the best option for you. Now we start to get into actions that are a little more interesting and more specific to the system. So, if we dive into our actions, do bear in mind that some actions are only available to Digimon and some are available to Tamers. Normally we've been talking about Digimon. Tamers can attack as well. It is generally not something that is overly recommended, and it is a precision test based against the target number of your opponent, which is based off of their level. So the higher stage a Digimon is, the harder it is to attack, and some that are larger or high enough stage will take absolutely no damage normally from a Tamer's attack. So, let us look at our other standard actions that we might be able to do as well. Clashing. Now, clashing is a very complicated thing. I will probably do an entire other video all about the different things that you can do with clashing, because this opens up an entire new set of actions that are available to you. The main thing is you initiate a clash against somebody that is adjacent to you, just like a melee attack. You make a CPU plus RAM check against their CPU plus RAM and get a bonus +1 based on if one Digimon is larger than the other. The one that succeeds at the roll controls the clash. This is basically grappling. Like I said, there's so much more going on with clashing that I will make a whole nother video about it if these videos do well enough that it seems logical that I do another. Now, another standard action is just to make a skill check. Now, skill checks are different based on whether you are a tamer or a human. For a human, a skill check is always 1 action. Therefore, you could do 2 actions in a turn, or 2 different skill checks in a turn, or move and do a skill check, or anything like that. or anything that is specifically a skill check for Digimon is a complex action and therefore takes 2 actions in order to do. This is a target number check and will be against a difficulty either set by the type of action that you're doing or the GM based on the situation that you are in. Stance change. Stances are important if you have a Digimon that wants to be aggressive or defensive. Stances allow you to have a penalty to accuracy in order to have a bonus to dodge, or vice versa. This bonus is equal to your stage +1. So if you have a defensive Digimon that doesn't care about accuracy, then you can often go into a defensive stance. Or if you want to make sure you do damage and hopefully hide in the back and don't care about taking damage yourself, then perhaps you would want to go into an aggressive stance. There are other stances also available in the game through qualities and such things, and there will always be those kind of things that will be activated by qualities instead and tamer talents, but I'm not going to go over every single one of them here. Again, we're just trying to keep things relatively simple. Let's go over a couple of other actions that are only available to Digimon, especially if you are looking to GM this system and you don't have a tamer, your options are much more limited. Aid.
Are you in need of any assistance today, sir?
No.
Aid is when you are attempting to aid your allies in battle. You must be within your range of an ally. Typically, for most rookies, this will be within 3 squares. So therefore, these Lugamon can aid each other right now. Whenever you aid, you give them a bonus to their next accuracy or dodge that it makes. So this is not something that you choose, it's just whichever one they make next. This bonus is equal to your stage. So for rookies, it's 1, champions, it's 2, and so on. This can be used to help your Digimon working together in order to take down a foe. But another thing you will common do as a Digimon-only action is the guard action. This allows you to get a bonus to your next dodge equal to your own stage, and it allows you to dodge the penalty to dodging for the first time in the round. Therefore, for the first time you're attacked in a round, you will not take a -1 penalty if you use the guard action. This can be important if you are someone who values your dodge a lot. Now, the main actions that tamers can use in order to help their Digimon, there are 3 main actions that you will be using a lot in order to help your Digimon. You can direct your Digimon. Directing is the main way to help your Digimon. It is based off of your charisma. Or you can use 2 actions to use this as a complex action in order to use whatever your highest stat is. That allows you to give that bonus to their next accuracy or pool check as a bonus. Therefore, if your highest stat is 5, which it should be for a human, you will practically be doubling or more your dodge and accuracy of most rookies when you're first starting the game. Directing can be an incredibly powerful thing in order to help your Digimon in combat. But there are other things you can do besides just directing an accuracy or a dodge check. You can also reinforce. Reinforce is similar in that it is body-based, so you can use 1 action to use your body, or if your body is terrible, you may want to use 2 actions to make it your strongest attribute. This allows you to gain a number of wound boxes for each success when you do a pool check using your body. Therefore, if you have 5 body, you would roll 5d6, and for every success, you would gain 1 temporary wound box. Do keep in mind these wound boxes only last for 1 turn, so if they are not used, they will deteriorate either way, but it's a great way to defend your Digimon with something a little more tangible than necessarily relying on the randomness of dodge, if you want to direct a dodge. But then again, directing isn't a pool check, it's automatic, so keep that in mind. The other one that you can do to help your Digimon is an agility check in repositioning. For every success you gain, you can use this to move a number of spaces equal to your successes, and this works even in difficult terrain, so you do not have to worry about difficult terrain while using reposition, making it incredibly strong if there's a lot of difficult terrain on the battlefield, or you have no way of using jumping or flying to get over it. Do keep in mind that normally, if you want to jump over a chasm, it takes 1 extra space per space you go in order to jump, unless you have something such as extra movements jumper, which allows you to get over it more easily. Now, there's a couple of other ones that are a little more specific. A very interesting one that you can always do is bolstering something. Now, anything that is a pull check that takes only 1 action can be bolstered. So there are a number of things such as attacks that can be bolstered, things you gain from qualities such as second wind, dodging. Well, dodging does take an action. No, I take that back. You cannot bolster a dodge unless something very, very unusual allows you to do that. Or you could even bolster a direct if your best stat is charisma already. So you go from a +5 to a +7 by bolstering a direct. So there's many things you can do that are very interesting with bolstering. It gives it a +2 bonus to the pool check. So whatever number you're rolling, add 2 to it. This can be used on attacks, on repositions, on anything that is a pool check. Called Shot. Called Shot is a rather interesting one. It is a Digimon-only action that you must use when you're attacking a single one. Now, both ways of using a Called Shot require you to take a penalty to accuracy. So these are risky in order to attempt them. It takes the penalty to accuracy because your target stage +1. And if you have to get at least one success over dodge on top of that in order for it to be successful, then it's a lot of what are you trying to do? You talk to your GM. There's a lot of examples of you shoot them in the leg to try and slow them down even though you don't have a root effect. You're trying to get around a curve that you normally can't see. You're going to use that to hit something that's like some explosive barrel that's around on the battlefield.
You missed! How could you miss? It was 3 feet in front of you!
You know, classic style. You're using it to shove them out of a stance or something powerful that they're in, like a clash from a clasher. You can use this to try and get that away from them or disarm them of their weapon. There's all sorts of different things. The more creative you are and your GM is willing to work with you, the more interesting things you can do with it. Or you can also use it in order to make it a focused attack and bolster the potency of an effect on the attack by 1. But you take that same penalty to accuracy and you have to get 2 successes over the target. It has to have a minimum for sure duration of 2 rounds. The main reason that this is powerful is it gets around other immunities and things such as gain force override cannot be reduced by qualities. It's to make sure you get it through, but it is more difficult to get it through. So when you are a player, you have your tamer to help your accuracy to make this a little less punishing in order to attempt. Do always keep in mind that whenever you gain your turn, normally you have your 2 actions for your tamer and 2 actions for your partner. So there's a total of 4 actions for you to do. So mix it up and try out many different things. Digivolving.
Digivolution. Renamon Digivolve 2.
Is a 1 action, or it can be 2 actions at the very beginning of combat as an interrupt actions. These are very interesting actions that allow you to do things that are not on your turn, but they do carry the penalty of making it so you lose those actions on your turn. Therefore, if you took 2 actions before initiative started, such as for Digivolution, you would then not have any actions for your tamer on your turn. Your Digimon would still have both of its actions at a higher form. So, if you have unlocked Digivolution, this can be a very good thing to do. Holding action. Holding action is interesting because it allows you to do things outside of your turn. It takes 2 actions from your tamer in order to do, and then they can declare 1 action that your partner wants to do when a trigger occurs. Therefore, you can say that if this Lugamon comes into range, then Coronamon will punch it in the face. Then it would trigger no matter when this occurred, whether this Lugamon got pulled into range, whether it moved into range on its own turn, anything like that. It allows Coronamon to then act outside of its turn. And if you're an intelligence-based build, this is especially good because you get to add your intelligence to the dodge or accuracy of anything that is triggered by this attack. You still cannot use this in order to get around things such as attacking only once per turn or anything else like that. So you do have to keep that in mind. Now the other main action that makes this system very different, and I very much enjoy it and would see it probably used in many other things, is the Intercede action.
Grizzly win!
Hurry!
Interceding is something that is very powerful if you are a tanky build. There's even a data specialization that makes it all the easier to do this. To intercede, you must throw yourself in front of an enemy attack. You must do this when the attack is declared and before all effects are figured out. There is one exception to that. I'll get to that in a moment. So, when an ally is attacked, you may move up to your movement in order to intercede. So, if Lugamon is using Howling Fire on Coronamon, because Ludamon is within 3 squares of Coronamon, he could jump in and take the blow. When you are interceding, keep in mind your dodge means nothing. You do not get to roll dodge at all. You automatically get a 0 on your attempted dodge. You are taking the full brunt to help out an ally. And therefore, you take any effects that would therefore happen, but your ally is spared. Another way you can use interceding is if you and your ally are caught in an AoE of some sort. If there is a blast that happens, then Coronamon can intercede in order to throw Coronamon out of here. Now, we didn't talk a lot about clash actions. It's very similar to throwing, which you can throw someone, number of spaces equal to double your CPU. So, with Ludamon only having a 2 CPU, he can only throw Coronamon 2 spaces, but that's enough to get him out of the AoE. Once again, Coronamon no longer gains any dodge against this attack. And if you must move in order to intercede, if you were not directly adjacent to them, then it takes 2 actions in order to remove them from combat. The only other main intercede action or interrupt action that you will find is Divine Intervention. This is done whenever a human is attacked. This allows them to shrug off all damage that they take, though do keep in mind that every time you use this Divine Protection, it goes up by 2 for 2 points of inspiration every time you use it. Or if a human were to use Divine Intervention to prevent the damage from interceding, because interceding as a human is a very bad idea. Humans are automatically reduced to 0 hitboxes if they are to intercede for their partner. If they use this Divine Protection in this case, they are instead reduced to 1 point. So it is not made to be a way to tank some damage, but I'm sure you will have some players who will try. Do be careful. The only way you can intercede when after all of the effects have been rolled and calculated for damage is if it would otherwise be fatal damage. If you have somebody squishy that you didn't want to intercede for before because you want to keep your action in order to attack or something, and it turns out that it would reduce their wound boxes to 0, you may then decide to intervene if it would be otherwise fatal. Such as if they are already in an incapacitated state from being defeated before. And there you go. That's how you have it. All of the different actions that you can do in DDA. So remember, when you have 4 actions on your turn, you can direct, attack, move, and also reposition your Digimon. There are so many different ways that you can use your actions in order to gain an advantage in combat, especially because you are Tamer and Partner. You are so much more powerful than these lowly little Digimon off on their own. Press that advantage and show them what it means to be a Digidestined. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has been educational to you about what Digimon Digital Adventure is and the actions that you can do in combat. And if you enjoy this, I will certainly make more videos about this as I dive deeper into it myself in version 2 and learn more about this system. Thank you all for watching. Hope you had a wonderful time. Hope I'll see you again soon. And if you want to watch another video, here's how you can make a Tamer and a Digimon in Digimon Digital Adventure version 2.